I've worked with founders making seven figures who can't sleep at night. CEOs who are running funded startups who feel like complete frauds. People who, by every conceivable metric, have made it, and yet they still feel empty. Here's what pisses me off. Everyone keeps telling them the same bullshit. You need a better work-life balance. Maybe go try therapy. And that's not the problem. The problem is you've built this entire identity about proving that you aren't the scared kid who wasn't good enough when he was a child. And now you've achieved that, you've done it, you don't even know who you are anymore. I'm going to show you why traditional therapy takes years to fix what I fix in 90 minutes for my clients. If you're tired of being told that healing is a journey, this is going to change everything. Look, I've been exactly where you are. I've worked in a swanky London office, I've had a rooftop bar, done all the cool stuff associated with the corporate job, and yet still felt completely empty. I thought I was the guy. I was not the guy. But it led me to this realization that I had to deal with what I was running away from in order for me to achieve what I wanted to. The difference is, I very luckily for myself, managed to figure out how to get rid of that. And now I've worked with hundreds of really high achieving people who felt that same limitation. And now those people have gone on to double or triple their incomes. And most of these people are successful on paper, but they feel like there's something missing. And I can tell you what that problem is and how to get unstuck. Here's the problem that no one really talks about. Success without self-awareness is just very expensive suffering. You've achieved everything that you thought you wanted, but you still feel like something is fundamentally wrong. You're constantly angry, you don't know why. You work insane hours, but you still feel unproductive, not because you have to. If you stop, that's terrifying. You've tried therapy, but sitting there talking about your feelings for months on end, week in, week out, feels like bullshit when you know that there's a business to run. And the kicker amongst all of this stuff is you think still, despite all of your success, that you have business problems. And you don't. You have personal problems disguising themselves as business problems. If you have a difficulty closing deals, that is a personal problem manifesting as a business problem. Ultimately, that's probably, gut instinct, a self-worth issue. Your inability to delegate to members of your team, that is not a systems problem. You don't need to figure out a better delegation method. You need to figure out why you can't relinquish control, and that probably comes from when you were a kid. The reason traditional therapy doesn't work for high achievers is it's because it's designed for people who have time to process this stuff, where fixing this immediately isn't the goal. That doesn't work for you. And you know that, which is why you intuitively hate therapy. Ultimately, you want to be able to fix the problems and move on. You want results. You don't want to feel your feelings more for longer. Don't get me wrong, feel your feelings, don't bottle them up. That is part of the reason that you're probably in this mess. That being said, what I want to explain now is what I call the choice psychology framework. This is how you collapse years of therapy into a single session and make it useful. So firstly, you need to realize, kind of step one, pattern recognition, what is going on. Most of your problems aren't, individual problems that happen one time. They are a pattern that you display over a regular period. Unconscious patterns that you learned as a kid now drive your behavior, and you're just completely unaware that this is happening. So if you needed to prove yourself that you were cool or smart or funny or whatever when you were a kid, that came from somewhere. The fear of not being busy enough or not working hard enough, that's not about productivity, that's about worth. The constant comparison game that you're playing on social media is not about business or success, it's about validation from people who you think are higher up than you. Second step, figure out where that comes from. You have to use what I call the says who technique. Every limiting belief in your head has a source. Some voice, sometime in your past, told you that you weren't good enough, that you weren't smart enough, that you weren't worthy enough. But here's the thing, you are saying those things to yourself now. Even if it came from your dad or your teacher or your best mate or family friend or whoever it was, right? You are the one keeping this alive now. You are repeating that same narrative again and again and again and again. Because of this, you can stop doing it. Step 3, neuroplasticity in action. This is not woo-woo bullshit, right? Your brain is not fixed. This is neuroscience. Every thought you create creates a new neural pathway. Every time you think that thought again, you strengthen the pathway. You can create new pathways at any point. The reason that change feels hard is because your brain wants to take the path of least resistance. It wants to go down the familiar neural pathways that it already has built. You are trying to fight decades of programming with willpower. It's like trying to, redirect a river by moving a pebble each time with your hands. The goal here is that we build a whole new riverbed with a giant digger. Step 4, the final part of this, identity reconstruction. This is where the magic happens. Your goal, instead of trying to fix your problems, is to reconstruct an identity. Here's the truth, you are not broken. You are just operating from a very outdated system. The identity that got you here, the one who was head down, working like a dog for 80 hours a week, every single day, not spending time with mates, not spending time with your family, not thinking that he was allowed to enjoy himself, that thinks that you have to do those things in order to be valuable, in order to be loved, that says that you constantly have to prove yourself. That identity very much served you while you were building it, but now it's holding you back from actually, 1, being able to enjoy it, and 2, being able to scale. Let me tell you about a client. I'm going to call him Brian. Brian's a founder. This business that he's built makes easily, Brian, probably about $2 million a year. From the outside, it's sunshine and rainbows, but Brian can barely sleep. He was constantly freaking out about what's coming around the corner. He came to me saying, hey, I've got an anxiety problem. I need to deal with this within a business context. How do I stop being so anxious? I need to learn how to manage stress. Within the first probably 30 minutes, I was like, you don't have an anxiety problem. You do not have a stress problem. What Brian needed to understand was his entire identity was built around being the guy that never failed. The reason that he never failed was, in his mind, failure meant that he was worthless. Where did that come from? From his older siblings. And when young baby Brian, how many years ago, made a mistake, his older siblings lost their mind. Why are you like this? Why can't you be better? You're a disappointment. You're a failure. All of these things that Brian, now at his much older age, replayed in his head. So what did he do? He spends all of his time trying to avoid mistakes. And here's what I worked through with Brian. When you spend all of your time avoiding mistakes, success is not the goal. That is not the reward that you get. Success feels like just another day that you didn't fail. In one 60-minute session, we traced this back to his siblings. We identified the point where he said, mistakes mean that I am worthless. We gave that whole new meaning. Mistakes mean I'm learning. Literally weeks later, Brian now sleeps through the night, zero anxiety, doesn't wake up freaking out. Within a month, Brian's making bigger plays in the business because now he's not terrified about what comes around the corner. Now he's comfortable making decisions knowing that, worst case scenario, if he fails, this is a learning experience. Now, Brian's not playing not to lose, he's playing to win, and that is a huge shift in the mindset. Here's what nobody wants to tell you. The reason that you're stuck is not because you need therapy. Most of you are stuck because you are addicted to having problems. Your problems give you an identity. This gives you something to focus on other than the terrifying question of who you actually are. That constant sense of busyness is not productivity, that's avoidance. You are using work to avoid dealing with the fact that you don't know what you want beyond your next goal. Here's another thing. Happiness is not a foreign concept. You've just been taught that it's selfish, that it's not productive, that it's not serious. But happiness should be your natural state. Everything else is programming. Here's what I want you to do right now. It's what I call the 90-second reality check. First, identify that primary pattern that you think is holding you back. What is the one thing in your life that keeps showing up that you absolutely hate? The thing that makes you go, oh, why do I keep doing this to myself? Write it down. Step 2, find the choice point. Ask yourself, when did I first decide that this was true? Not when someone told you it. There is always a choice point. There is always a specific moment where you in your head decided that whatever that statement is, you said, okay, no, it's true. I agree with it, and you will know it. 3, ask yourself, says who? Who told you that this was true? And more importantly, do you still want that person being the driving force in your life? Do you want their opinions being how you make decisions? Step 4, make a new choice. Right now, in this moment, choose differently. Not tomorrow, not next week, not at some point into the future, maybe, who knows. Choose a different response to that pattern. It's not about positive thinking, it's not about affirmations, it's about recognizing that every moment in your life is a choice point, and most of the time you've been worrying about doing this unconsciously, which is why you worry about it, because it feels like it's all out of your control. Look, here's the bottom line. You can keep doing what you're doing. Work harder, achieve more, hope that your next goal will scratch the itch. Or you do the inner work. You realize that the problem isn't what you're achieving. The problem is who you think you need to be in order to achieve it. Most people choose the option of stick my head in the sand and ignore it and ostrich about it because it's easier. But if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're not most people. If you're ready to stop doing the work, avoiding yourself and what goes on in your head, if you're tired of feeling like a giant fraud despite genuine, honest-to-God success, and if you want to experience what it feels like to be successful and feel it and know it and embody it in yourself, I work with a small number of really high achievers to help them get to that point. It's not therapy, it's not coaching, it's neural engineering. We're going to identify the unconscious patterns that keep you stuck and give you conscious control over them quickly. If you're making good money but you're feeling empty, if you've achieved the goal that you had in your head but you still feel like you're a fraud, if you're tired of being told that change takes time and you just need to wait it out, there's a link in the description. We'll have a conversation about where you're stuck and whether this kind of like rapid approach to change actually makes sense. Either way, stop trying to fix your life by achieving more. Ask yourself, who do I think I need to be? And is that person actually me? Because the moment that you can be successful exactly who you are right now, everything changes and you can make that choice that moment is today.